Happy Devil's Wednesday. This is the State of the Fan Address, episode 55, titled Decision Time, Decision Time, Decision Time. I'm your host, Sam Wu, here with Pucks and Pitchforks editor-in-chief Nick Villano, streaming live on Facebook Live, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube Live, Twitch, all powered by Nova Product Design from Primetime Radio, and now simulcasting on the Primetime Radio Network. Want to welcome everybody in this podcast. Nick, what are we doing here? Decision time, decision time, decision time, but something tells me you've got a question for me right off the bat.
Well, I'm curious, since us journalism people are getting called out for our haircuts. I want to know how you got your haircut. Are you sneaking into barbershops that are closed? What's going on, Sam?
No, I'm playing by the rules. Kate cut my hair. Kate cut my hair, taught me. Oh, this is a plug, actually. Kate cut my hair, taught me how to cut my hair, and we recorded it, and we're going to talk about it live this Saturday on Real New Jersey podcast on the Let's Go Devils podcast network. So, yeah, Kate cut my hair. That's her brand, and she's sticking with it. So, just a little plug there. You see this? This is a pretty nice haircut. I did this all myself. I didn't violate any pandemic temporary law. I didn't go to barbershop. I practice social distancing by doing it through cameras, like how we do this podcast. And thank you for asking, Nick. All right, so was that transition kind of fake or herky-jerky, or did we get to the point?
I mean, you're obviously a professional broadcaster, as I always call you, and that was just a seamless transition into the ad. Or I don't know if it's an ad. I don't know if you have to put hashtag ad. I don't know what the rules are anymore.
I honestly, I get nothing out of it other than showing people how to do their haircuts. I use this clipper, and it was great, and I feel like I'm on my game now. So. But I think we should stick to the subject of hockey right now because
first
I don't think any decisions have been made.
I mean, I got to make a decision on my hair. I will say that because the hats are starting to get a little snug, and I don't know who I am without my hat, Sam. So obviously that's going to have to change. Like this is not great. This is look at this. This is coming out the front of the hat. This is not a good look, Sam. So, but yeah, you're right. It is decision time. It's decision time for the NHL. I know when we have Dan on, we're going to talk a lot about the decisions that the NHL is trying to make. Obviously, a June draft seems like not only is it on the table, but it seems like full steam ahead. They're going to do a June draft based on everything I see, especially from Pierre LeBrun of The Athletic. Pierre LeBrun has been one of the best reporters during this pandemic of just getting the information out to the fans. So I got to commend him, but every day he's got new stuff on what's going to happen with the draft. I believe they met today. That's kind of like the newest thing, but we don't know what came out of that meeting. So I don't know if they made a decision. I expect the decision to come on Friday, but we're going to talk more with Dan Rice on that in a couple of minutes. What I do want to talk about is the Devils once again getting the positive headlines, Sam.
Positive. Very positive.
Yeah, so, we've talked about before about how the Devils, we commended the Devils when they announced that they were going to take money from employees, and then they were going to, they changed their mind on the decision. Not only that, but they apologized, admitting that it was the wrong decision. And then a couple weeks later, they made a big donation to RWJ Barnabas, who is one of their biggest sponsors, obviously. You see all the Devils players in the commercials. They might be their biggest sponsor. I'm not 100% sure, but I swear I see their, and maybe they have a deal since it's a healthcare organization that, it's not, they don't charge them as much as Coke or Pepsi. I don't know that, but anyway, point being is that I think that the Devils have done it again, but I also want to kind of change the narrative a little bit. So Devils fans know at this point. I've gotten pushes on my phone from all my sports apps. TMZ is publishing articles on it. So it's a big deal when the Devils are getting the publicity. They're giving away 10,000 tickets to the healthcare workers of RWJ Barnabas, and that's great. I mean, that's an amazing thing to do. These healthcare workers, when this is done, like you think you're having a hard pandemic, these healthcare workers are having the worst of it. I've heard people say it's Groundhog Day from hell. That it's just day after day. And then at the other side, the people on the other side of the hospital are losing their jobs because there's no elective procedures where that's where the hospitals make all their money. So it's two kinds of hell for these healthcare workers. So helping them out with these tickets is great. But I have to commend our fans, the kinds of people that would watch the State of the Fan Address, the Let's Go Devils podcast. That's the New Jersey Devils season ticket holders, because one thing that I'm seeing, hey, Batman's here. One thing that I'm seeing that's not getting the publicity that I think it should is that the Devils season ticket holders are donating their tickets to help reach that 10,000 ticket goal. It's not just, a billionaire making a donation, which, it's great in of itself, them giving out the tickets, but the fact that New Jersey Devils season ticket holders are willingly giving up their hard-earned money for these healthcare workers because they know what they're doing on the front lines, I think it's a good thing, and I think it's something that needs to be played up a little more.
Yeah, you know what? I got a little irked. I saw this website. It was a hockey feed or whatever. You see it spamming around on Facebook, and they weren't sure, but they claimed that the Philadelphia Flyers were offering refunds. They claimed the first NHL team, and I said no. The Devils did that, and I got the email 4 days prior to that being published. Regardless, this is not about a competition of who's doing what. It's good that the Flyers are doing it, but speaking from New Jersey's standpoint, Nick, the ownership group, the management group, since the shutdown, the pause, have really impressed me. I mean, yes, they made a mistake. They apologized for it, and it takes a lot to apologize and just admitting, hey, we screwed up on this one. And, more and more, it's like you talk about hard-earned money. The next credit card payment or check you write out to the New Jersey Devils, at least you kind of know that, you know what, you kind of know where management stands on things outside of hockey. Makes you kind of feel good writing that. Nobody wants to pay season tickets. Once you see that bill, you're like, well, a few grand, blah, the team's not doing well. Now it's kind of like, you know what, great ethics. They're not doing it for PR. They're just trying to do the right thing. During a very tricky time, even then, yes, I hear that the owners have a lot of money. They're billionaires. They can afford it. I'm telling you, they're taking a hit too. We don't know what goes on in their world, but when you see the stock market go all over the place and this and that and having to pay the players, but there are no games, you know what? They're hanging in too. And I appreciate their efforts because honestly, it wouldn't have been expected, but I think they're going above and beyond, especially when you hear Michael Rubin, the minority owner, who also owns Fanatics, repurposing the factory, taking Major League Baseball material to make jerseys and immediately making masks and gowns with Major League Baseball's permission. And it was a no-brainer, but just the effort and the thought of doing that, it's pretty cool with me.
Yeah, I mean, it's everybody who's ties to the Devils seems to be doing a really good job. And there's been bad publicity for some hockey players and hockey teams throughout this process. And the second the Devils got themselves in some hot water, they changed the narrative. And since then, they've been hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. So, after the season where the Devils were all, I mean, they were literally like a tire fire of bad publicity. Firing people, trading away your captain, trading away your only MVP in team history, moving guys in, playing terrible hockey, always losing, and the number one overall pick isn't playing to what we expected. It was just the headlines that you would see when the games were still playing, were terrible. They were bad, and they weren't playing well. Like once we traded everybody away, weirdly enough, but it still wasn't something we wanted. Nobody cared at that point. I think we're still 6 points out of a playoff spot or something like that. I haven't looked at it in so long. I'd have to double check, but it's double digits and it's at least 12. I think it's in the teens. It's not possible. So to turn this around this quickly at a time where it's going to be harder to get people to spend their money because a lot of people don't have it. From what I hear, unemployment is a lot better in New Jersey than it is here in Florida. So congrats on that. So at least people have that going for them, but it's still, people lost a lot of money in this pandemic. A lot of people who trade in the stock market. Like I know a lot of people who live in New Jersey do that, and I bet you a lot of them buy tickets to the New Jersey Devils. So it's going to be harder to pry people away from their money. But if they believe in the organization, more than anything, if they believe in the organization, they're going to spend money on tickets over, where they were just 2 months ago.
Yeah, and I'm just looking through Facebook Live. We didn't forget, but I might as well say happy birthday, Marty. Marty, you're 48 years old, and you could probably still play. And also, let's wish a happy belated birthday to the wonderful and nice and charming Erica Wachter. Her birthday was yesterday. Just wanted to say happy birthday. Happy birthdays all around. If we missed you in Facebook Live, Twitter, Periscope, YouTube Live, happy birthday if it's your birthday. But anyway, should we get our next guest on?
Well, you ruined my transition, Sam. Yeah, I had it going. It was right there. Oh, you hurt. Oh, that hurt. What I was going to say, which doesn't mean much now because it's ruined, Sam, but what I was going to say is we have to have Erica Wachter on the podcast again because once she gets on the podcast, then she will become a friend of the podcast. A friend of the podcast, like our next guest, Dan Rice of the Hockey News or the Hockey Writers.
Well, I you know what? Why don't you try to get Erica? But the only problem is this black cat behind you running around. I'm very superstitious when it comes to booking guests and black cats running behind you.
It's okay.
We're 0-5.
Just as much white.
We're 0-5.
He's just as much white as he is black. So he's got the white going on.
Oh, okay.
But
okay. Kind of like an Oreo.
The all black cat is passed out in the chair next to me. So we are going to talk about the draft tonight. I've given a lot of my thoughts on the draft, especially the players I think that the Devils are picking. We have all of my pieces are up on who the Devils are going to pick with the 6th pick, the 10th pick, and the 17th pick. We're going to dive a little deeper later this week. Stop it, buddy. We're going to dive a little bit deeper later this week with that 4th round pick, that 5th, those late bloomers, who they're the kinds of players I think the Devils could pick in those rounds. That's always kind of fun because you're digging deep. I'm going to warn you, though, I probably won't find a lot of pictures of these guys, so I'm going to have to get creative with that. But that'll be a lot of fun. That'll be coming out in the next couple weeks. But when it comes to June draft, I talked about this last week on the blog, pucksandpitchforks.com. I think it's a good thing for the New Jersey Devils. It's positive for them because, I think that they're going to end up getting the 3 first-round picks, especially after Per LeBrun. What he said, he was basically saying that the Vancouver Canucks would be happy to give up the cost-controlled pick this year at 17 rather than an unprotected pick next year, which made little sense to me personally. Like, I felt like that the Canucks are the kind of team that thinks that they're right there, especially if they could bring back their goalie. Their goalie is an unrestricted free agent, though. So that's Markstrom, so he's kind of up in the air. that could give them pause. Maybe that does give them pause, and maybe that's why they want the cost-controlled pick this year instead of giving. I mean, we've seen this year with the San Jose Sharks, last year with the Ottawa Senators, those unprotected first-round picks can be killers. I mean, think about how much better the Ottawa Senators prospect pool, which is already amazing, but how much better it would be with Bowen Byram right now. And think about the turnaround of the San Jose Sharks if they could possibly get Lafreniere, Quentin Byfield, or Stutzel, or one of those players in the top 3 of the draft this year. So, those unprotected first-round picks, I could see why Vancouver would want to keep that pick. But I still thought that they were going to err on the side of keeping the pick in a deep draft this year. But again, teams think in mysterious ways. I'm very curious I did see one person say that under this new format, if they go to the format where winning the lottery means just going up 4 picks, does that mean Arizona, if they win any kind of lottery, would they keep the pick? And I'd say no, because I think it's top 3 protected. But, I guess it depends on the language in the trade. Sam, you're back.
Oh, I'm back. I almost got scared there because I looked at my board and I guess I was a little dyslexic. I thought that I had you muted and myself not, and I'm like, uh-oh, did they hear my conversation with Dan Rice off air? But turned out that luckily I had it right. I'm off my game ever since the cat in the beginning of the podcast. It's thrown me off. But here to just put me back on track from the hockey writers. You know him as Dan Rice, big friend of the State of the Fan address. Dan, Sam, and Nick, how are you tonight?
I'm doing great, guys, and it wouldn't be the first time that my conversation that was supposed to be muted got over the air, so no worries about that.
Oh, boy. Well, tonight we are going to talk about the draft and a lot of the rumors that have been out, Dan. So I want to know first and foremost, I think it's a positive thing that the draft is in June for the Devils specifically. What do you think that that's going to do for the Devils to have the draft possibly before the season restarts?
Yeah, I think that would be probably best case scenario for them, considering where the conditional picks sit, and whether or not they move up or not. If everything stays the same, they draft at 6 and 10 or 5 and 10 or whatever it is. I think those are great spots to get players that they need. And the only hesitation is I wonder if they wanted to package those picks. What would trades even look like in the climate that we're in now? I don't even know if they would be possible, if teams would be willing to trade players and that kind of thing. If there are still games and playoffs to be played, like we all assume that's going to be. But however it shakes out, it's definitely going to be interesting one way or the other, and it will definitely be unforgettable.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I will say is that I know that in the NBA, there's a lot of times where teams will work out a trade that gets finished after the pick is made, and you just make the pick that the team wants. So all it really does is have that awkward moment where, like, the Devils and Tom Fitzgerald would have to, shake the hands and put the Devils jersey on at the draft, and then, they'll have to change it, in like a half hour when they get traded to the Dallas Stars or whatever it ends up being.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. A lot of times they make those trades, and like you said, they pick the player for the other team. But then we're in uncharted territory here with everything. So I'm just as eager as everybody else to find out how everything's going to go down. Obviously, we know the draft is going to be virtual, and I think that that's going to be a new wrinkle for everybody. And I actually, as a fan of football, I watched the NFL draft. I thought it was pretty cool the way that they pulled it off. And it was a little unique and different. It was, I guess, maybe odd at first, but once a couple picks came in and you start hearing from analysts, start seeing highlight reels and stuff like that, it's just the same kind of deal. So the kids won't be there with their parents and that kind of thing, but maybe we'll have different memories and unique memories in a different way, I guess.
Yeah, no, I definitely. I think it's going to be interesting. And honestly, as fun as the NFL draft was, just to kind of get away and get live sports-ish for a little bit, I think that the NHL would be smart to jump all over that, especially if they could get it happening in the early June, which I think would be before the NBA and definitely before the NHL and before baseball is able to get going. And if they're able to corner that market, I mean, ESPN is playing Korean baseball right now. A lot of people are weirdly excited about it. So I think people just want sports. Is that what you're is that the gist you're getting, Dan?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I'm going to watch the NFL schedule release tomorrow. Probably it's going to be 3 hours. It'll be a nice welcome change from, whatever's going on the news and watching movies that I've been trying to catch up on and TV shows and that kind of thing. We all just want sports to come back for whatever reasons. Everybody has their own different reasons. A lot of times as somebody who lived through 9/11 and we finally got sports back after that, it was kind of like something to divert our attention away from real world problems, and we don't really have that outlet right now. But we also don't have where, if you walk into a store and you had a Devils hat on and you see somebody with a Rangers hat, you kind of give each other glares, or you have a Devils hat on, you walk into the store and somebody else is a fan of the team and, they bring up last night's game or last weekend's game or something like that. It's just they're conversation pieces for us to talk about and bond with each other, and we're definitely lacking that right now. I mean, I guess it's a little tempered because we can't really go out too much. I know I've only really gone to the supermarket and I walk to 7-Eleven kind of every day, but that's really it. So any kind of and if the NHL is smart, they'll put the draft lottery on TV and make that if that's something that happens, they'll make that a TV. They should make that a TV event, but the NHL doesn't always do what they should. So who knows?
I mean, if they're smart, they'll put it on NBC, like prime time. What else do they put? Yeah. What else do they have the show right now?
Yeah, NBC doesn't really have anything going on. I know there's supposed to be a NASCAR race this weekend, maybe, but I don't know what channels those are on. But yeah, the point remains: if NBC has this contract where they have to put on NHL stuff and they're not airing anything, you make it a Friday night or a Saturday night, even a middle of the week night. I don't think it would really matter what night. I think hockey fans would tune in droves and probably get better ratings than not to pick on teams, but like a Hurricanes Sabres game on NBCSN. I think the draft would get pretty huge ratings compared to that.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, I think time and days and all that is just that's a foreign concept to a lot of us right now because we're just kind of like, what day is it? Doesn't matter. It's Groundhog Day all over again. Feels like we all want to go back to February 2nd because hockey was being played and, a lot of this was kind of on the back burner and there was hope, but it is what it is. So let me ask you this. I've been asking some of the guests lately, because a lot of the news has been surrounding a possible return, and it sounds like they're going full steam ahead with returning all of the teams and playing regular season games. So what's it going to look like for players like Travis Zajac and Corey Schneider and the veterans of this team who don't have a ton to prove? I mean, maybe Schneider has something to prove, but like Zajac has nothing to prove. And, a couple of these other veterans, it's just kind of whatever. And then players like Nikita Gusev, you have to pry away from Russia. And, I'm sure Nico went back to Switzerland. And it's just it's a lot of things that they have to get done just for them to come back for a season that's lost. So what's that going to look like, Dan?
I've thought about this a little bit. And first of all, I think every professional player, I think they're competitive. I think they want to be the best at what they do. And to quote the old Jets coach, Herm Edwards, you play to win the game, right? I mean, you don't just play to play. So I think anytime they suit up, they're playing to win. And, I think that's what As far as the older players go, I think even Zajac and Schneider, the guys that you mentioned, I think they have something to prove because everybody's job is pretty much on the line. This season has before the pause, felt like it was painstakingly and excruciatingly long. Just for all the drama that happened with the coach and the trade and GM. And they, at least some of my last interactions with them, they were all about, we're here to prove, we do have stuff to play for. We're here to prove that we belong or that we want to be on this team going forward because everybody's job is really on the line right now. And I think if they do finish the season, they have 12 games, 13 games. It's not like one team will be ahead of the other as far as conditioning or anything like that. I don't think anybody really has an edge. Everybody's in the same boat. There's no advantage. I don't know what it looks like as far as are you going to have fans in the building? Are they going to be separated? Is everybody going to be wearing masks? Is everybody going to be tested going into the building? So the players are going to be tested every day. Do they have to be quarantined from their families? These are all things I'm sure that the league and the Players Association are discussing, and I just don't know how it happens. I really hope that it does, but I don't know. Or do we get to a point where we're like Sweden and we just turn to the herd immunity? And if you want to go to the game, you go at your own risk, and hopefully you don't get sick. I don't know how realistic that is, but I'm sure it's probably been a scenario that's been brought up by somebody. I mean, if I had the idea, then I'm sure somebody else did too, right? But yeah, I think they all would have, like I said at the beginning of my long-winded answer, they do have something to play for. They're professionals, and I mean, I want to win at everything. I mean, I play Words with Friends. I want to win at that, so I think they'll have plenty to play for, and I don't think that'll be an issue. And at the end of the day, they're entertainers too, right? I mean, they get paid a lot of money to entertain, and not that they should have to put their health and risk their health in coming back to do that. And I hope everybody's safe and all that. But I think at the end of the day, they're whether they're fans there or not, they're going to play their best. And I think, and to go back to my earlier point, I would watch a Sabres Hurricanes game right now if it was on TV live. I don't watch anything live right now. I don't know about the Korean Baseball League, but because I'm not that huge of a baseball fan, but I understand the wanting to see live sports. And I thought about checking out whatever NASCAR race is going to be happening this weekend. I don't know if I'll actually do that, but I'll be watching that Last Dance documentary because that's been pretty damn cool. But so yeah, who knows what it'll look like? But I'm sure everybody will be competitive and ripped and raring to go.
So you brought up the Last Dance documentary. So now I have to ask: Is there something that you think happened in Devil's lore that you'd be willing to watch a documentary that long on, or is there something on Devil's lore that you want to see a documentary, no holds barred thing like Last Dance has been?
Geez, I mean, just all the playoff runs, the 3 cup years. The teams get that DVD when they win the championship DVD. It's out, a couple months after the season, and that kind of gives you a little bit of insight into the background stuff. But I mean, for me personally, I would love to see behind the scenes stuff from that 2000 team. Being down 1-3 against Philly in the Eastern Conference Finals, and there's a legendary Larry Robinson explodes and throws a jar of jelly or whatever against the wall, or throws a garbage can, whatever it is.
Garbage can.
The garbage can. Those teams. I mean, that team, that group of players was definitely had a bunch of personalities on it. That'd be the one that I would definitely want to watch first. And then the 03 team, you guys have had, I saw recently you had Grant Marshall on, right? I mean, he's a great storyteller. I've had the pleasure of sitting with him at whether it's a press room or a bar and just to listen to some stories that he told, and especially from with characters again like Pat Burns on that team, and I mean Joe Newendike was on that team, another legend that we don't always think about. Gomez and Gianta and Brodeur and Danico and all those guys. I think that would be great TV. I don't know if the rest of the hockey world would be that into it, but as far as Devils fans go and people who follow the team closely like we do, I think that would be dynamite stuff. The Last Dance, I could watch another 20 episodes of that thing, and I'd probably watch 40 episodes of the Devils team if they wanted to do it like one day at a time. That would be great stuff. But Marty used to go to the movies with a bunch of guys before playoff games. Just what are some of those conversations like? The guys fighting with each other after losses. You just want to know all that behind the scenes stuff, and I think it would be very, very entertaining.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you brought up the DVDs that would come out after the season. I definitely found 2 of them on YouTube. I just got to try to find the 95 one. I've already watched the 2000 one, and it's quite good. It's a lot of fun watching. Just that season was just all over the place, and the Ken Danico with the still with the hair, and just a lot of gems in that. So for the Devils fans out there, you got to find it on YouTube. It's not too hard to find. But that DVD was great, and I have 2003 up in the queue, so I know that that's on YouTube. Just got to find the 95 one, and I'm sure it's out there. Everything's on somewhere now, but those are just some of the.
You can always find a way.
Yeah, and they don't make those anymore. I don't think, right? The teams don't make those.
I'm pretty sure they still make them. They might just be like Blu-ray or pay $20 to download it and watch it on your TV or your whatever viewing devices you have and stuff like that. I'm actually on the 2001 or 2003 DVD for maybe a total of 5 seconds, maybe 10 seconds. I might be selling myself short, but it's in one of the side features. It was called Backstage with Brodeur, and after the Game 7, the cameras basically follow him around for the next 25 or 35 minutes or something like that. And I was an intern with Stan Fisher that year. That was my first year. My first year going to games. My second year interning with him, and the conference finals and the finals were all held on national TV. So Stan got me during the finals. He had me work for the NHL as like a runner, basically going to all the media and passing out stat sheets, and they would transcribe the intermission interviews. And print them out, and so I basically pass them around to all media members. And so in the Backstage with Brodeur thing, I'm standing outside the MSG studios because it's Game 7, and they would actually have like a post game on, I guess it was MSG's network back then. I want to say it was still MSG, and it wasn't. It was after it had changed from Sports Channel or Fox Sports, or maybe it was Fox Sports still. But regardless, I'm standing outside in the hallway of the studio, and Marty comes walking down, still in all his skates and pads and everything, and he goes in to go talk to Stan and Matt Lachlan, and I just kind of like pat him on the back. Great job, Marty. And that's my 5 seconds, and then when he comes back out, I think I might have said it again, or you kind of see like a piece of me in the hallway. So there, 10 seconds of fame. I'm in thousands of homes, I guess mostly in New Jersey. I don't want to say worldwide, but
yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's absolutely something. I mean, the fans just want content right now. They want content of any kind. And honestly, watching this Last Dance thing, I have no idea why the Devils. I mean, their media team does great stuff, but like. Maybe they just don't have the manpower. I don't know how many people it takes to put on a documentary. I mean, you got to have somebody look at archives and find all the video. You got to have somebody do the interviews. You got to have the people willing to do the interviews. But the ex-Devils have been pretty open and willing to come back and do stuff for the Devils. But, I mean, we got to get our guy Chris, Sam, we got to talk to Chris. We got to get him to do some documentaries, put more work on his plate because that's exactly what he needs right now when he's trying to provide content in a pandemic. But
Chris Westcott, if you're watching this right now, because I know you are, you better kick it up a notch. I mean, we should have a documentary called "The Last Trap." The Last Trap, because those three Stanley Cups, they changed the rules in 2004, 2005. We had a lockout over it. Salary cap, a trapezoid. All right, a trapezoid to defend against one man's skill, Martin Brodeur. The 2-line pass. Remember that? You couldn't do that, right? Because that is, because you used to have to, get the puck through the neutral zone. You couldn't make a 2-line pass. Okay, they wanted to free it up because the trap was so good. And who was the best that era? The New Jersey Devils. They had the best players for the system, and they did it so well. It's not easy for a goaltender like Marty Brodeur to only take 18 shots and keep himself awake. Would you agree with that, Dan? The Last Trap?
100. I would watch the sugar honey iced tea out of that. I don't know if I can curse on the air, and I didn't want to, so I'm sorry. But yeah, I mean, they, like you said, they made a rule. For one player, it's still ridiculous to this day why they still have it. There was maybe one or two other goalies that could actually play the puck very good in that era. Guys are a lot better now at it. But yeah, that would be great. And one of the things that doesn't get talked about is they were successful in an era where there wasn't a salary cap. When teams like the Rangers and the Avalanche and the Red Wings and the Blackhawks and the Bruins, they would spend money and money and money, and there was no penalty, and they just couldn't. And then they would just cut all these guys because they didn't turn out to be the guys that they paid all that money for. And the Devils did it without spending to the supermax. They had guys that had team friendly deals. Brodeur was negotiating his own contracts. I mean, I'm sure he pissed off the Players Association because he was definitely taking less than market value. But the teams basically couldn't control themselves from spending ridiculous amounts of money. So, that era, and you mentioned the 2-line pass thing, man. I haven't thought about that in a while. And when you mentioned it, I was like, how stupid was that rule? But at the time when they changed it, it was like, all the old-time hockey guys, the old classic guys that are, you can't, this ruins the game, it's not the same, and blah, 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 blah. That was a great rule to get rid of because it was dumb. You open up the game so much more, and all these guys are always complaining about being clutched and grabbed. Well, maybe if you didn't have that 2-line pass in there, you would have been able to break away from some of these other guys. I mean, you can still get
couldn't. It prevented, Dan, all of hockey, college, high school, that rule never existed. It was just the NHL at the time. And if you can't even get any speed through the neutral zone with that rule, I agree with you. Yeah. Because in order to beat the trap, I mean, one of the ways is speed. And because it was such a clutch and grabbing league back then, I mean, you talk about The Last Dance, and who's that player on the Golden State Warriors? His name is Curry. Is it Stephen Curry? Oh, yeah. He was so amazed about the era, how serious Jordan and Pippen, that how brutal it was. But then again, they didn't have to face the 24/7 media. I would love to go back and see how the New Jersey Devils, during that era, how Scott Stevens was able to lead a team. Because, to be honest with you, I don't think Scott Stevens would have been on Twitter as the captain. I think he would have been radio silence.
If I'm not mistaken, didn't Lou have a social media blackout with the players when he was here?
Yes.
He didn't. It was more of a. It wasn't a rule, but it was like an enforced rule. But it was like, hey, if you're on the team, we don't want you doing this. We want you focused on business at hand and what we're paying you for. Was it maybe Marty and Patrick were the only ones that had accounts, and they never used them anyway? Brodor's brother was the one that controlled his account or something like that. So, but yeah,
I remember Patty had an account, but he never really used it.
Yeah, he never posted anything other than like the first, like, hey, this is my first tweet or something, and that was it. But yeah, I imagine having social media in that era when guys were getting paid gazillions of dollars and then falling on their face, like a guy like Bobby Holy taking all that money and going to the Rangers, or Gomez. I mean, it would have been wild times, and it definitely would have been different to see how players reacted to that back then. But yeah, that'd be some wild stuff.
Exactly.
That's funny. Yeah. No, the funny thing, I mean, but to be honest, like how, besides getting trouble on Twitter, I mean, hockey players' Twitters aren't that interesting. I mean, the best thing we've gotten out of Devils hockey Twitter ever was Taylor Hall saying "What's up" to Selena Gomez. I mean, listen, it was a great moment in New Jersey Devils Twitter.
We did have the vote for the video game cover. That was pretty intense. With the Brodor, was it the NHL 14 to get him on the cover? That was I think when the Devils social media teams finally started really upping their game and changing the game, I guess, forever for them as far as marketing themselves. And some of the players, maybe not necessarily on the Devils, but some of the players, and I guess it goes for all sports too. Like they do use it in a cool way where they can engage with fans like they never could before. Just as an example, I've always been a fan of Michael Grabner's account, and he's a guy that some Devils fans will know. He didn't have a great stint with them after being acquired at the trade deadline a couple of years back, but I think he does it the right way. He has fun with it. He engages with fans. He posts goofy pictures of himself, and it just makes him seem like he's just like an everyday guy. Which I got to interview him a couple of times. He really is just like a down to earth kind of guy, where he's just like us. He's just really, really good at hockey and really fit. But they all are. But yeah, I would love to see more of that stuff, being used positively instead of negatively. But this is the world we live in, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Nick, your microphone is out. I don't know if you're talking or whatever, but it is out. So I'm going to take over. Just you and I, Dan. We're going to just take over. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to be taking over here. You know what? I'm going to switch the monitor. Just you and I. It's now just you and I. We kick Nick off the air. As he's struggling, and I see him on the monitor. He's struggling right now. This is fun. It's like I've taken over. Yeah. So, but honestly, Dan, I think. Well, I'll just reveal a surprise guest for Sunday. Now, the one bad thing about The Last Dance is it goes on at the same time as the flagship show, Let's Go Devils podcast at 9 p.m. So are you just kind of like flipping in between that show and The Last Dance?
Oh, of course. Or if possible, they just replay it right afterwards anyway. So if it's not on ESPN, it's on ESPN 3 or ESPN 8 or whatever. So
yeah. So, but Sunday's guest, I'm holding the big surprise. And Nick, as I'm talking, just letting Nick know as I'm talking that I'm trying to fix your setup right now. But the big surprise for this Sunday, guess who's going to be in the virtual studio this Sunday? You'll never guess.
You want me to guess?
Oh yeah, I want you to guess.
No, he probably already knows. Is it a Devils player? Or is it somebody else?
It's a former Devils player.
Cam Jansen.
How did you know?
Was it really him?
Yeah, it was really him.
Wow, I'm pretty. I should go to 7-Eleven and go get some scratch offs or something.
Dan. When sports comes back, I'm going to hit you up on Twitter, and I want your picks.
I don't know about that. I had my buddy at the beginning of the season put some money on the Devils and the Vegas Golden Knights to win the Cup. So we still have a half a chance, but I don't know how good those picks were.
You never know if they go with the 2014 playoffs.
There's still a chance, baby.
There's still a chance. Still a chance. Nick, are you still back? Are you back?
Am I back? Can you hear me?
Yeah. I can hear you now. This is great.
Yeah,
it's great.
I dropped my mic. It got all messed up. I'm a mess. I apologize. I've dropped my mic twice. My setup's not perfect. I tried to pick up the other cat to show the other cat to the fans, to show Widow, and I knocked everything over. So baby Huey over here cat ruined it all.
The black cat. Don't ask Erica Wachter to come on to the podcast if there's a black cat involved. She may not. She may ban us forever.
Oh, no. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. I think Sam's just superstitious like that.
Oh, I am. I mean,
superstition is just—it's all Jedi mind tricks. There's no such thing as superstitions or jinxes or that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but you say that, but the second I stare at the TV for too long, the Devils are going to get scored on. So it's just how it works.
I think they just got scored on again. It's very possible. It's about 9:45. They're probably playing like an 8 o'clock game or something like that. So.
Something like that.
All right.
But Dan, we really appreciate having you on. We kind of ventured off the beaten path tonight, but I think that's kind of what people need right now. They just need to kind of get an escape, and we surely escaped from the world of hockey. So I really appreciate you coming on and following our journey of YouTube and the draft and wherever else we went tonight.
Yeah, no, my pleasure, guys. Anytime you need me to come on, don't really have much to do like everybody else. So, but even if I did, I'll take time for you guys. Just give me a shout, and I'm more than happy to come on and talk about stuff that we all hope we see soon again.
I appreciate that, Dan. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Dan.
Yep, take care, guys. Have a great night. Stay safe.
That is Dan Rice of the Hockey Writers. He and I are going to have to talk some NWHL hockey because they just had their draft. He was giving me the inside scoop of the Riveters' first round pick. Yeah, love the Riveters. Love Duncan. Love Rebecca Morse and the Riveters and women's hockey. Matt Freudenberger writes, to make an uncensored podcast with Cam Jansen. Did you hear the podcast with Grant Marshall last Sunday?
I heard probably like 15 minutes of it.
Yeah. It was so nonchalant that I didn't even realize it, that I should have been using this.
Yeah, he needs a 7-second delay.
Yeah. I didn't even notice it because it was such a casual, candid conversation in the virtual studio. And, it happens. It happens. I was debating if I should mark it XL, that podcast. And it wasn't like Grant was like, throwing F-bombs or whatever. It was just like in context. And stupid me, I didn't even notice. Till I get a text, but we got Cam Jansen Sunday. That should be good. One day we should have the Let's Go Devils podcast XL, the paid version, where it's not so much we're swearing on purpose, but it's just put your feet up, talking to the mic, looking at the camera, and have a good time. But anyway, that's another story for another day. Nick, are you holding your mic, or is it just? So I hear some like banging around.
All right, let me see what I can do. Let's see if I can do this. Let's see if we can do.
Yeah, why don't you try to figure that out? I mean, we're about to play a game. Give me a mic check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Let's see. We're gonna do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 live on the Let's Go Devils podcast. This is what happens when I break things in the middle of podcasts that we're live on.
This is what happens when you have a black cat on the live podcast. But we'll talk off air how to approach Erica Wachter. Maybe she'll come into the State of the Fan Address virtual studio live from her house. Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. See how things are going. Anyway, Vinny Parisi is watching, which means that's my cue to get Vinny to play the game.
Gotta play the game. You gotta play the game. I do want to just bring up one thing right now. Capitals player Brandon Leipsic is trending. Not a good look for the league right now. He said some really this is out of this world. He said pretty derogatory comments about the wives of other players, and honestly, I don't know how he comes back from this. Not only did he say it about the wives of other players and calling women terrible names and sexualizing the wives and girlfriends of his fellow NHL players is bad enough. But then on top of it, he disparages his own teammates. He calls them, I think he called them bums, or he said like F those guys. It was not great. So I don't know how Brandon Leipsic is going to return from this. If they do come back in a month or two, I don't think it's enough time for the players to forget this. I think the public relations nightmare that he's facing right now. I mean, he deleted his Twitter and his Instagram, which is not a move I usually like. That's usually just running away from the problem. But I honestly, to goodness, don't know. I mean, I guess like Sean Avery has said some things about some people and people still gave him jobs. I just think it's a different world now. Like it just is. And saying these things about people like that just shows your character. And I feel like the NHL wants to be a character league again. It kind of strayed away from that for a couple of years just to kind of get personality. But now they want character again. So I think that things like that just don't have a place in hockey, and I just don't see him coming back. I just saw it was trending. So it was interesting, so I just wanted to see kind of what it is. I just want to give my take on it. I don't know what he does, and you know what? I'm going to compare this to the Mike Hoffman thing. The Mike Hoffman thing with Erik Karlsson was just I can't put words to it, but I mean, if you don't know the Mike Hoffman, Erik Karlsson thing, it's one of the most insane stories I've ever heard of in my life in sports. And I guess he recovered from it, and now he's going to get a big contract for free agency. So I guess anything can happen. But Brandon Leipsic is not as good as Hoffman. So and that obviously shouldn't have much to do with it, but it does in reality. But that was a lot in the 3 minutes that you were gone, Sam. We're going over the Brandon Leipsic controversy. I don't know if you heard about it or not.
No, I've not.
So he basically called like NHL players' wives fat and said derogatory things about like Connor McDavid's girlfriend, and a bunch of like his Instagram chats got hacked and leaked. So now the NHL is dealing with the fallout from that. I said I don't know how, but another thing is he called his own teammates like terrible. So thank God I don't have to play with them on the line. So interesting day for Brandon Leipsic. Not great, Bob.
It sounds very Sean Avery-esque, doesn't it?
It sounds. I literally mentioned I was like, I guess Sean Avery got another job, but I think that was only 10 years ago. But I feel like we're in a different world.
Yes. Yeah. Wow, it's been that long. Well, guess what? Our friend is going to be coming on from the Pucks and Pitchforks blog. Contributor. But I've been reading a lot of his stuff lately. Vinny Parisi on the Nova Product Design Hotline. Vinny, you and I are pumped up for this game because Nick off air has been hyping up this game tonight. that he spent better part of 7 days trying to get 6 answers out of it. And are you ready, Vinny? Because I'm a little intimidated, not by you, but by Nick.
Well, one thing, you should be intimidated by me. I'm on like a 4-game streak against you. But all credit to Nick. You know, he hyped this thing up, so I'm ready to go. I'm here. I'm ready. Let's do this.
Yeah. So tonight's game, we're gonna call it Dirty Jobs. So I looked up probably 200 NHL players that have played for the New Jersey Devils, and about 150 of them, the job they had after they retired from the NHL was a hockey job. So I was trying to avoid those players, the players that either got an analyst job, a scout job, a coach job. I didn't know there was this many jobs in hockey, but everybody got a job. But, when Mike Danton got a job after he went to jail, he got a job in hockey. And, he has turned his life around, so good for him. But, man, everybody getting jobs in hockey. So I found 6 guys who left the NHL world after playing for the New Jersey Devils and now have a strange job. So are we ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh, yeah. Good.
So we're going to start with Bobby Holik. Bobby Holik, former number 16 for the New Jersey Devils. He retired and he moved to Wyoming. Now, he runs a farm in Wyoming, but what is on that farm? Vinny, you're going to go first. So I'm going to give you 3 options of what his possible job could be. This one, I'm going to give you 3 farms. You got to tell me what Bobby Holik has on his farm. Does Bobby Holik have a pig farm, a horse farm, or a vegetable farm?
This is easy.
Wow. Wasn't expecting this. I'm interested to learn all these things, but to act like I would know is just unbelievable. What were my options? A vegetable farm,
A pig farm, or a horse farm?
I think the only thing that would make sense for Bobby Holik is a horse farm.
That's correct. His daughter is actually quite big into the equestrian. Sam, I'll give you bonus points that mean absolutely nothing. If you could tell me what his blog is on.
His blog? He had a blog on bobbyholik.com. It was something unfiltered. Am I correct? Am I in the right direction?
I mean, it's not about cigarettes.
No. He had a hockey blog a while back, and then it just disappeared. Bonus points. It's about how to take care of a horse.
No. He has a blog that he still runs to this day that he's had for, I think, about 4 years called HolikOnShooting.com. And it's about him and his love for the Second Amendment and shooting guns. And there's some interesting things on there. You learn a lot about his political views, which I'm not really, I don't care what famous people think about politics one way or another, so I usually skip that part. But he does have a lot of interesting quips about guns. So if you're into guns and old school guns and things like that, it's very interesting. So 1 point for Vinny. He got the Bobby Holik thing. So I'll give... All right. So Sam, I'll give you... There's one that's kind of hard. So I'm going to give you an easier one because that Bobby Holik one wasn't as hard as some of the other ones. So Jan Denis, former backup goalie for the New Jersey Devils. He didn't get a goaltending development coaching job like almost every other New Jersey Devils goaltender or GM job of some kind. Instead, he does one of these 3 things. Does he trade stocks, sell real estate, or does he own his own business?
Well, the last one could be both. It could be all the above. It's not like you can't do all the above.
Does he own a bar in Quebec?
Is that a trick question?
I don't know how that could be a trick question.
I say he does real estate.
That's correct. He does real estate through a company called Everton Homes. And honestly, I think he might actually own that company. So you're right. That was kind of a trick question. I apologize, but you know what I meant. You got it right. Jan Denis is a real estate. He's a real estate. I don't know. I guess investor or owner. I don't know how that works, but he works in real estate. So Vinny, you're up next. Stéphane Richer. I think I said that completely wrong. He competed in a lot of documentaries after hockey. A lot of people want to talk to him because he admitted about dealing with depression during his career. But one of the most interesting things is when he appeared on a reality show. It was a competitive reality show. Was his competitive reality show a Canadian celebrity singing show, a Canadian celebrating dancing show, or a Canadian celebrity figure skating show?
These are so easy, Nick.
I'm going to fight you. You make up the next game then. You're getting the hard one. I don't care.
Yeah, I got the easy one. It's obviously a dancing show.
Yeah, it's not a dancing show. It is a figure skating show.
See, I
it was
that
called
the easy answer because ice hockey, figure skating, but
I think Grant Marshall was on that once too, right? Is that how he met his wife?
Is that how he met his wife? I don't know. It's called Battle of the Blades. It's a very interesting show. But he was paired with Marie-France Dubreuil. I can't even. That's not even a name. I'm even gonna. That was terrible. But Marie-France was his couple, and he was one of the three couples in the show. They thought that they wrote an article back in 2009. Will Battle of the Blades bring more boys to figure skating? I don't think it worked, but it was very interesting factoid to find out about that. So Sam, since this game is so easy, I won't give you options. Why don't you just guess out of nowhere? I'm just kidding. These next ones. You think? Oh, you think so? Okay. What's Jeff Friesen doing right now?
What is he doing right now? It's funny because Grant was talking about Jeff Friesen on the podcast on Sunday. What is he doing right now? I could be cheating and texting Grant. What's Jeff Friesen doing right now? He owns a ranch.
No.
And he runs a farm.
No. Why would I do another farm one? Come on, you know me better than that. I skipped somebody else. I think it's not Bill Guerin. There's another person I ran into. Maybe it was Brian Ralston, who owns a horse farm too. I was like, I have 2 horse farms. What the heck? But anyway, Jeff Friesen is a brand ambassador for a medical marijuana company.
You know what? You know what's really, really funny? I was about to say this, but I didn't want to be derogatory. I was about to say, when you said, what is he doing right now? I was about to say smoking pot, but I was about to blurt that out loud, but I didn't want to be I didn't want to be defaming him, but it doesn't surprise me. A lot of
I thought to myself, who's going to be in CBD or medical marijuana industry? Somebody has to be by now.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to go to Vinny, you're going to get the guy who has a similar name, but a much different career position and pretty much everything. We're going to go with former backup goalie Jeff Friesen. Now, Jeff Friesen only had a cup of coffee in the league, So, obviously didn't make as much as a lot of other NHL players. So what is he doing to make money right now? Is Jeff Frazee a bartender, I forgot the name of what I was about to say. Is Jeff Frazee a bartender, a mortgage loan coordinator, or is Jeff Frazee a... just go with those two. Because Sam made me mad. So now I'm just going to give you two options.
I'm going to go with the first one.
Yeah, that's wrong. He's not a bartender. He's a mortgage loan coordinator. Vinny, you're really blowing this game.
I am blowing it. I'm thinking outside the box. He didn't play in the league very long.
Yeah, he needs more money. He can't be a bartender. He needs a mortgage loan coordinator. He needs to make money. All right, Sam. You can win the game right here, unfortunately. So we're going to go to former Devil Lyle Odeline. Lyle Odeline is a small business owner. He owns multiple franchises. What are the franchise that Lyle Odeline owns? Does he own McDonald's, 7-Elevens, Supercut haircut places, or a pooling supply store in Canada?
I like to say pooling supply.
Yeah, you're wrong. He owns 54 Supercut stores across the country.
Really?
Yeah, he doesn't even live in Canada. He lives in Pittsburgh.
Wow.
All right, so we have a tiebreaker, and it's for the birthday boy, Martin Brodeur. So as you know, Martin Brodeur works for the New Jersey Devils. That was his post-NHL career. For his birthday, tell me Martin Brodeur's exact job as listed on the New Jersey Devils website. So, Vinny, you go first.
Oh, I know this one.
Martin Brodeur's official job. Oh. Is it team executive?
What do you think, Sam?
He has to be a little bit more specific than that. Oh, or are you talking about, like, what's his title?
You're both going to guess, and whoever's closest is going to be the winner.
Oh, okay. He is VP of Business Operations. Hockey? No, he's not hockey ops. Business Development. VP of Business Development.
All right, so you both got one word correct after Sam changed his. Changed it to make it more wrong. So good job, Sam. So Martin Brodeur is the executive vice president and advisor to hockey operations, according to the Prudential Center staff directory.
So it changed. It must have changed.
Sure, Sam, it changed because you got it wrong. It did change when Ray Shero got fired. It was very famous.
Oh,
you guys stressed me out.
who wins?
Sam wins, I guess, because he got.
I think fair.
You shouldn't dance at this. This is not dance worthy. This is like the guy in Jeopardy who wins $800.
Are we declaring Sam the winner just to break the streak of me beating him, or what?
No, because you came to play like you were Michael Jordan after a night in AC.
It's my flu game, man. It's my flu game.
No, this is your hangover game. That's what this is.
This is the night after Atlantic City?
Yes, this is what that is. This is a night of drinking and cigar smoke and losing $200,000 at the tables.
Okay. Well, then who's the real loser here?
I still think it's you.
Probably. That was fun, though.
I'm just saying.
I learned some new things.
I'm glad. But thanks for coming on, Vinny. Vinny, what do you got for us this week? You've been writing up a storm, but what do you got coming up?
Oh yeah, we're grading the players' seasons up to this point through the season. So I asked on Twitter who people want to see first, and I'm kind of going on a first come, first serve basis. So someone suggested Dakota Mermies right off the bat, like that was the one I was totally expecting right away. So I ran away with doing his first, and then someone asked for Subban. Brad will be the day after, and then I'll just go alphabetical order if no more requests come in from the goaltenders out. So that, and I wrote a little fun piece on Zach Parisi that'll be coming out tomorrow. So
very cool. Also, don't be like NFL.com and give everybody an A. I'm just saying.
No, this next one, I love the man, but he did not fare too well with my grade. So.
Oh no! All right, well that's coming on pucksandpitchforks.com this week. Vinny Parisi, everybody, make sure you follow. It's at Vinny Parisi, right?
Yes, sir. At Vinny Parisi.
Right,
no spaces, no numbers, just my name.
Now, make sure you follow him on Twitter. We got some great content coming up, me and him. So keep an eye out for that. But thanks for coming on, Vinny.
Thanks for having me, guys. As always, love it.
That's Vinny Parisi on the Nova Product Design Hotline. That was actually a very thoughtful and very good game. I didn't know about, the Friesen one stumped me, and I was about to be a wise ass and just say that, but I refrained, and now I wish I did because I could have easily won that game. You would have been shocked. Can you imagine? But I censored myself. It's terrible.
Yeah, I will tell you this, Sam. I thought I was going to be able to search some people on LinkedIn and get some really interesting things, but I had to dig deep. Some old articles, I had to go on people's personal Facebook pages and find them on. I did find a couple people on LinkedIn, and that's how I found Jeff Frazee. And it's funny. It's always funny to see people's LinkedIn page say NHL player. It's like, oh, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, well, Lyle Odeline, the Supercuts, I mean, I figured he would own 56 Tim Hortons or something.
Yeah. Tim Horton would have been a better one than 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
My big problem was I only wrote down what they did, and then I was trying to make up other jobs on the fly, and I blanked on 3 of them. I was like, what jobs do people have?
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to work on getting Erica Wachter on the podcast. That's something you and I are going to have to do.
No, Sam, what we have to work on is Hall of Maven. We got to send Stan Fisher to the Hall of Fame. He needs to go. We got to make that happen. Hashtag Hall of Maven. Hashtag get Stan in the Hall. We got to get Stan Fisher in the Hall of Fame. He seems to appreciate the love. So we also got to. I'm going to ask him to see if he wants to get on this podcast. Maybe he wants to talk about some 1935 NHL hockey with us, and I'm just going to sit back and listen because he's one of the greats. He's one of the best voices of hockey, and I kind of miss having him on my TV all the time.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe one day we'll have both Stan and Erica on in the virtual studio at the same time. Wouldn't that be something? That would be
wild. We're going for wild here.
I'm telling you, we're shooting for the moon. With these guests. Next Sunday, or this upcoming Sunday, Cam Jansen, former New Jersey Devil, always a tough guy. That's going to be intimidating. He's already intimidating on the phone when you patch him in. Just think once he's in looking at you as he's talking for a live interview. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. All right. Well, we'd like to thank all the listeners and viewers. Nick, you have anything to plug coming up this weekend or anything going on?
Yeah, I got a couple. I got a couple pieces that I'm working on. I actually thought of 3 different games today that I think are going to be a lot of fun. Next week, I'll give you a little taste. We're going to play Where in the World is New Jersey Devils Players?
Ooh.
Where in the world is New Jersey Devils Players? I have the concept down. I have it's going to be fun.
That's great. All right. I'll be kind of getting a head start. Not that I'm cheating or
Maybe.
anything.
You
Yeah.
always cheat.
No, I don't.
Sammy Guerrero over there.
Well, thank you for watching and listening. Podcast will be dropped at midnight. Till next time, Devils fans. Let's go, Devils.